It has been over a year since January 6th, over a year since the multi-pronged effort to overthrow the results of the election, with one big part of that being the pressure campaign to get Mike Pence to do what he has absolutely no authority to do, which is unilaterally decide that Donald Trump gets to be president. That is a claim that Donald Trump has been making up until like this week. And finally, like 13 months later, Mike Pence is finally weighing in on it in this video.
There are those in our party who believe that as the presiding officer over the joint session of Congress, that I possess unilateral authority to reject electoral college votes. And I heard this week that President Trump said I had the right to overturn the election. But President Trump is wrong. I had no right to overturn the election. The presidency belongs to the American people and the American people alone. And frankly, there is no idea more un-American than the notion that any one person could choose the American president. Under the Constitution, I had no right to change the outcome of our election.
Okay, so everything that Mike Pence said there was factually accurate. Also accurate to say that he is saying it way after maybe he might have had an effect. I mean, maybe he never would have at all. But that video has generated so much attention and so much applause for Mike Pence. He's the best, he's the sexiest man in America. He's doing such good things, defender of democracy. Maybe he should be the next Democratic presidential nominee. What do you think, Cenk? What do you think?
Okay, but look, so credit where credit is due. So number one, I'm thrilled that he's saying it. Finally, he said it. Number two, he should have said it on January 6th, let alone 7th. They tried to murder him. The chant was hang Mike Pence, hang Mike Pence. And it took him over a year to gather up the courage to say the most obvious thing in the world when Trump supporters were looking to execute him for not overturning a democratic election. So now the most important question is, why is he saying it now? If he was too scared to say it for over a year, what changed? Well, what changed is what we told you guys approximately a month ago. And you, longtime TYT viewers, not even long time, you can see it every day, right? But you saw us tell you that, hey, the Republicans are turning. The donors must have turned because it is now systematically people are going and saying Trump is wrong, Trump is wrong. We showed you first the standard politicians, Kissinger, Cheney, et cetera, that's already was baked in. They were already on that side, so that's not interesting news. But then people that were not diehard Trump people, but very conservative politicians started saying it. We're like, wait a minute. And then I said, once we got 2 or 3 people saying, I was like, that's it. The memo went out. The memo is now saying, and the memo goes out from literally places like the Chamber of Commerce. And they tell people, sometimes they say you now have permission to say this, and other times it'll say, you must say this, right? And then when I saw Brian Kilmeade and a couple other Fox News contributors do it, I was like, oh, that's it. There's no question, there's no question. In fact, we predicted that Fox would say it even before Kilmeade said it. So now this is beginning, this is now, I wouldn't say this is a culmination, but it's getting there. For Pence to now come out and say, yes, the vice president cannot unilaterally overturn an election, to us is literally the most obvious thing we've ever heard. That's not how a democracy, we didn't all go vote and then go, oh, hey, I wonder what the vice president is gonna say, right? And as I've said 100 times, and I haven't heard anyone else say it, even though, again, the most obvious thing in the world. If that theory was true, then good news, you don't have to bother voting in 2024 because Kamala Harris is going to decide the election. Do Republicans want that? Oops. Hell no, right? So this is more important than just Pence saying something a year too late. This is some grand poobahs in the Republican Party saying, no, we're going to take on Trump full bore, and we're going to try this. We're going to stop being scared. And Mitch McConnell also piled on today. So there's no question it's a coordinated effort.
And I agree with you. Initially, I went into this thinking that it was because Mother finally gave Pence her approval, but I'm really glad that he got there. And also too, even just from a humanistic standpoint, I could imagine that Pence was probably somewhat relieved to finally be able to say this, in part because having Trump to kind of reignite these claims so recently, I'm sure things have finally kind of somewhat settled for Pence in terms of, I'm sure, the threats to his life and all sorts of things and attacks on his family. So to have that reignited and to finally be able to say something probably felt pretty good. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like the Republicans, they're always the last minute, let me make sure that this suits my own needs and my own agenda first. So I'm just, I am surprised, I am grateful, but I am still annoyed.
Yeah, I gotta say one last thing about Pence. So the fact that he couldn't even condemn his own attempted execution shows incredible cowardice. And here he didn't get permission from Mother. My guess is he got permission from the Republican donors. But having said all that, if he had gone along with Trump, Giuliani, Bannon, Navarro's plan, we would have had an unbelievable mess. He would have said that, and they call it the Green Bay Sweep. They named it. It was a plan. There's no question about it. It was an attempted coup. They said all that Pence has to do, even though it doesn't have any effect in law, is to say, I'm sending it back to the states. I am not certifying this election. And then we will pretend that our fake electors, and literally they had people sign fake documents saying that they were electors when they were not electors in the swing states. We will then seat the fake electors. And so if Pence had gone along with the ruse, they would have done that plan, and then the military would have had to have decided who's the real president. And the fact that Pence avoided that is a testament to him. So we have to be fair about, on that day, he did have strength and courage. He lost it for a year and now has regained it with the help of donors, etc. Right? But this is the establishment striking back, but in a crazy twist of fate, in a positive way. So probably the only positive thing the establishment's ever done.
Exactly. Yeah, and because of that, he is an honorary member of the Dragon Squad. I'm kidding, he's not.
I wouldn't go that far.
Hopefully now, can we all dispense with the idea that he's the most powerful person, that the VP is the most powerful person in Washington? They're not. It's the Senate parliamentarian. Everybody should know that by now. People never took a government class.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.